Okay, another method that works for solving quadratic equations is the square root property. And the square root property says that with the x squared term isolated, then if x squared is k, then x is plus or minus the square root of k, where k is any non-zero real number. So how do I use this to solve quadratics? So I use this to solve quadratics, and it only works if there's no x term, okay? So you have to have just one x. So you can use this when there's just one x. You don't have an x squared and an x, you just have an x, okay? You isolate the square root, isolate the square, and then take the square root of both sides. So let's start with this first example. 9x squared minus 49 is 0. So I'm going to start by trying to get that x squared term all by itself. So I'm going to add 49 to both sides. 9x squared is 49. Divide by 9. X squared is 49 over 9. Now I'm going to use the square root property. And the square root property says take the square root of both sides, but when you do that, you get plus or minus. So the square root of 49 over 9 is 7/3. So this equation has two answers, 7/3 or negative 7/3. And notice that the plus or minus comes in as soon as you take that square root, not at the end, okay? So in this example, x plus 5 squared equals 64. Again, I have one x term. The square is already isolated, so I'm going to take the square root of both sides. So I get x plus 5 is plus or minus 8. So that gives me two equations. X plus 5 is 8, or x plus 5 is negative 8. I'm going to solve them the same way, but they're going to give me slightly different answers because I'm subtracting 5 from a positive number or from a negative number. So 8 minus 5 gives me 3, negative 8 minus 5 gives me negative 13. So this equation has two solutions as well, 3 and negative 13. So notice that that positive or negative, the square root property part, comes in immediately when you take the square root, not at the end of your solution.